Back to our sister's issue. There is one text in 1 Corinthians that addresses an issue when she is mostly living in the houses she lives in.
Yeah.
And when her husband is complaining, and she would shift the blame on because people are around and they are demon possessed and they are not. When I'm fasting praying, they are talking and making noise. You know. Now, her husband wants a way to have this problem solved.
Yeah.
In 1 Corinthians 7, there's a whole controversial issue. And let me give a brief background. The church of Corinth was a very troublesome church. Every pastor, every Christian should take time to read that text, 1st and 2nd Corinthians. And every rich church is a problematic church.
Okay.
Also entirely problematic. Some of the issues that this Corinthian church faced were on matters of sex.
Okay.
And oftentimes, Paul will begin his letters this way to the Corinthian church. On the matters of this, now concerning this, now about this, and Paul will have to be responding to a lot of letters written to him. And one of such letters he had to respond to is on immorality.
Okay.
And in chapter 7, he started by saying, now for the matters you wrote about. And he quotes the letter, if maybe a summary of the letter. It is good for a man not to have sexual relations with a woman. Let's again go back to maybe chapter 5. Chapter 5, he says, it is actually reported that there is sexual immorality among you, and of a kind that even pagans do not tolerate. A man is sleeping with his father's wife, and you are proud. Shouldn't you rather have gone into mourning and have put out of your fellowship the man who has been doing this? Verse 3. For my part, even though I am not physically present, I am with you in spirit, as one who is present with you in this way. I have already passed judgment in the name of our Lord Jesus on the one who has been doing this. Passed judgment. In chapter 6, if any of you, verse 1, if any of you has a dispute with another, do you dare to take it before the ungodly for judgment instead of before the Lord's people? And again here, too much troubles in the church. Where the problems cannot even be solved in the church to a point where they must take the problem out of the church to unbelievers and people in the world. Then let's come back to the chapter 7 that we want to concentrate. Verse 5. Do not deprive each other, except perhaps by mutual consent. And for a time, so that you may devote yourselves to prayer. Then come together again quickly, so that Satan will not tempt you because of your lack of self-control. The issue here is that our sister is on a fasting spree, fasting to a point where she does not want to have sex with her husband because, in the context of the season, because she's in Lent. Yes, back when I was in your church, a young couple walks to my office in Lent like this, and I'm focused on young couple because they have the energy, or they had the energy. I mean, that giving me just one, and then still the energy and the zeal and the drive was there, the enthusiasm was there, and then here comes Lent. And this young man is denied because her wife had gone through other churches, and maybe other pastors might have prayed to her that if you are fasting, you don't have sex and blah blah blah. So now this young lady has taken this to another level where she says no to her husband and was nearly breaking the marriage.
Wow.
the marriage was on the verge of collapse. Thankfully, I meet them and they are very fine. Everything is fine. Now, Paul in this discussion tells them or gives them a formula that if you want to say to your husband that we abstain from sex because we are fasting, Paul says that do not deprive each other except perhaps by mutual consent for a time. Mutual consent. We must agree. We must agree that for this Lent, for this fasting, we aren't going to have sex because we want to devote ourselves to prayer. I tried this one of the years, and in the middle of the journey, I surrendered. Just to say that it is not that easy.
Yeah.
And that is why Paul said that you come back quickly so that Satan does not tempt you.
Yeah.
And even here, if you look at the text carefully, then come again so that Satan will not tempt you. Even in Lent, say ye break you.
Yeah.
Also, and we have fasting break.
You break it.
Yeah, so if you're doing 6 to 12, I think you break.
Yeah.
Fasting, we have said, is denying yourself pleasures and food and water and drink. So if you break to eat, at a point when you have broken your fast, have taken some meals in the evening at 6 p.m. Every meal is a meal.
Yeah.
Equally, you can have a meal in the night. So it does not stop you from having an intimate relation with your husband or wife. And in fact, sexual intimacy is another thing God has given to couples that builds them up. Every pastor who does well in ministry and is doing well in ministry has a certain high level of intimacy with his or his spouse. Check it. Take it from me as a pastor.
Okay.
Every pastor doing well. Every pastor doing well. Not the fake ones, not faking things around. Those who have very good intimate relations with their spouses. The other day, doctor mentioned here that even before he goes to preach, if he is able to do, they do very well. The sermon is different on a high level. It gives a certain energy,
Exactly.
a certain enthusiasm, a certain zeal to minister very well. And so to our dear sister, she has no right, Paul says, over her body.
Okay.
You have no control over your body to say that it is my body, I'm not giving it to you. No, it is not for you anymore. Your body is not your body when you marry. And that is why Paul advises there should be a gentleman's agreement. That dear, because of the fasting, I want us to this year focus and this year devote a lot of time to prayer. So can we abstain from sex for maybe just 2 weeks or 40 days?
Yeah.
So Ukunuka said, "Dear, mean to me, I understand him." And the guy says that it's about looking somewhere. And that is what Paul exactly says, that so that Satan may not tempt you. If you deny him, Satan will tempt him. I repeat, if you deny him because you are fasting, Satan will tempt him. And when Satan has tempted him, he might not be able to stand. He may fall. When he falls, the effects comes back to you. And sometimes when he falls into the hands of a very skillful person, you may lose him forever. A very skillful person, you may lose him forever. So there is the need for the two of you to agree that because of the Lenten season, because we are doing 40 days fasting, because we are having 2 weeks fasting. But if we are fortunate and it is only 1 week fasting, fine. But 1 week, you never know when the drive may go high and he may want to have a relation and intimacy with you. Please allow, or else Satan will tempt him.
Yeah.
And again, like I initially said, you may have to eat at a certain point. And maybe for science reasons, because we are fasting, it's a long fast.
Yeah.
It's a long fast, and we are draining because we are not taking much food. I think the husband should also understand that because a long fast, you may lose energy. You know, this thing of sex counts as a lot of energy too, so it weakens you. So when your spouse says, I'm weak, please understand and bear her out or bear him out. if you don't do it for a period, 2 weeks, nothing will happen. Man does not live on bread alone.
Yeah.
So please bear him out or bear her out. However, if you cannot, because Satan may tempt you, please allow yourselves and enjoy yourselves. It even builds your intimacy and builds the relation. If you are in Lent and you deny your spouse or partner and there is disagreement, your Lenten is in vain. Because Paul will tell us again, I think in 1 Peter, that if there's a disagreement among couples, your prayers are hindered.
Okay.
So if you are fasting and there is disagreement, you don't understand. Your fasting is in vain. Your prayer is in vain, and that's what the advice, I think Peter advises, that if you do that, your prayer is hindered, your prayer doesn't go anywhere, and your 40 days of Lenten is useless because I'm Pabon. So please, to all those listening to us, it is very important that during fasting you build a very good relation, understand issues, and then it will help your prayer to avail much.